in. I happen to know a lot of people that have a lot of money and a lot of things, yet they don't seem to have a lot of loyalty, love, and respect if they're not doing it the right way. Today's guest on Prime People is none other than Dave Meltzer. If that is a new name to your ears, if you've ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire, he's the guy that owned the agency that movie was based on. Dave had it all, lost it all, but when he lost it all, he found everything. I stumbled upon him in Breakfast with Champions. We became really good friends, had him. I was on his podcast and just blew my mind. So I'm with him typically every Friday, just getting nuggets from him and Jakey Bakey. So we're going to dig right into it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's kick off the show. I don't want to waste a second of this episode.
Welcome to the Prime People podcast, where we cover all things that got us to where we are today, our team building strategies, the marketing and sales tips that we've learned through thousands of transactions, productivity tips, ways to really just hold yourself accountable to accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and all things content creation, personal development, and not to mention we have some of the best guests on the planet.
We definitely do. Show me the money. David Meltzer, what is going on?
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so thankful you are, brother. Like I said, we kind of met just by synergy, right? We were around some like-minded people. I jumped on your podcast. You roasted me with some amazing questions, made me think about my business model. But when I dug into your story and learned that you had it all and now hear what you're sharing with the world, I had to bring you on to Prime People. So, why don't you explain to people what value or wealth truly is to you today? Because I don't think it's money, cars, and golf courses.
Yeah, no, what I've learned is everybody serves a God, and most people don't know what God they're serving. I was serving money as my God, believing money would buy me love and happiness. I wanted to, as a young boy, be rich because my mom worked 2 jobs, packed my dinner in a paper bag. And the only time I wasn't happy was when there was financial stress in my life, which created separation, created a victimized mentality that everything happened to me and why me. And so when I started to make money, I didn't realize it, but I started to serve the wrong God. And by losing everything, I gained everything. I gained the perspective that money doesn't buy love or happiness, but it allows me to shop. And if I serve the right God while I shop, if I serve a God that's bigger than me, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing God that loves me more than my mom loves me, no more punishment in Dave Meltzer's life, no more victimization, but simply being protected and promoted by the mistakes, setbacks, and the failures, including losing over $100 million. And I've been able to not only make it back myself, making a lot of money, but helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun, living a passionate, purposeful, and profitable life, and empowering others to do the same.
Man, I can only imagine the self-work that it took for you to be able to say that so eloquently. Like, it's part of who you are. This podcast speaks to a lot of people that are business entrepreneurs, real estate agents, people that are you and I maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. And they think when I get the 100 million or I get the golf course or I get the Rolex or the car, then they're going to let me in. Then I'm going to get the deal flow. But it never really happens that way, does it?
No, what happens is we put our attention in the 5 levels of intention. Everything we do, everything we say, everything we think, everything we believe, everything we feel is attached to, I'll be happy when I get this. I will be every emotion attached to the end. And what happens is it slows down in 2 respects getting there. One, of course, in the man-made construct of time, you're just less productive, you're less accessible, and you're less gracious when you're attached to an outcome. But in the relativity of time, especially exponentially, everything takes more time when you're living in the I'll be happy when result. See, the biggest misuse of time is between cause and effect, cause and outcome. The biggest misuse of time is between problems and solutions. And so what I teach people to do is pay attention to and give intention to the causes, the productivity, the accessibility, and the gratitude. And if you put your attention and intention, if you enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, not the pursuit of happiness, but happiness is the pursuit, I promise you, not only relatively will it seem like you got there so quickly, but more importantly, pragmatically, you'll be more efficient, more effective, and more statistically successful in the man-made construct of time. In other words, you'll get what you want faster by attaching your emotion to the cause, not the outcome.
Man, you just extrapolated so much to that. And when I listen to you on Fridays, right, I'm always there for your segments, typically working, driving, or whatnot. I feel like I'm following you through a jungle. You, and shout out to Jakey Bakey, have your machetes and you're clearing the way and you're showing people like, hey, here's a clear path, not necessarily the end game. It's going to be that journey that gets you there. But I actually read an interpretation of Psalm 11 yesterday that said, this kid did an experiment where he cut open a cocoon for a moth to see like, I'll let him out freely and let him go out a lot quicker. The moth came out flat white. And they realized scientifically that the moth having to go through the pressure is actually where the blood goes into its wings and creates the beautiful colors that you see. And I see that in your story. So, how did you push through though? Because some of those things that you've shared with me in the past, and people can find tons about you online as well. How did you push through when you felt like all the pressure was on you?
Well, you mentioned it earlier about clearing a path. And first, you have to shift your mindset because you give meaning to everything you see. You have to shift your heart set because you have control of how you feel. And then also, you have to shift your handset, your practices, your daily practices. And so, my first mindset shift was no longer was I going to try to be more healthy, more happy, more wealthy, and more worthy. Instead, just as you just stated, I was going to figure out what am I doing to interfere with what I already am, happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy, because I'm connected to all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient being that loves me more than my mom. So I must have all this power. What am I doing to interfere with it? And then I do that through gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, which you teach as well, and inspiration. What am I doing to interfere with what I'm connected to and through inspiration, intellect, and intuition? But the daily practices say this: today's the only day I have to worry about linear time. Because if I look behind me, time is relative. If I look in front of me, time is relative. Therefore, I have daily practices of knowing what I want, who I help, who can help me, how to get it done, priority and prioritization of what's important of me and to me is the antidote to procrastination, overwhelmness, and nothingness. And so if you know your what, your who, and your how, you know how to prioritize. Once you prioritize things, you're just applying your why. You're not living in procrastination, overwhelmness, or nothingness where you're in search of your why. In other words, you're happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. What are you doing to interfere with it?
I think people's brains are exploding because so many people are in that position where they feel like they need to be busy in order to be productive. Yet I quote you on this all the time and I point people to your webpage, but people work jobs they hate to buy things they don't want to impress people they don't like. And that's the reality for so many people. But I want to focus on one topic, right? We got about 12 minutes left here. I want to be respectful of your time. So if anybody has any questions, drop it in the comments. Shout out to Kendrick, Matt, Jaime, everybody else on the stream. Focused energy. Justin is a scattergun sometimes. You talked about having purpose, right? Your schedule's set. You have Jake. I mean, so many people probably call you and say, I need a Jake. Like, how do you cut out the noise? There's so much noise. There's so much pulling at you in so many directions. How do you find your why? And then what practices did you implement to create that clarity on your drive and focus daily?
Well, those daily practices of what, who, how, now, and applying the why. But the real key is the how. So you're asking me, how do I get this all done? Well, first of all, I know that today has 24 hours, 1,440 minutes. And I don't let myself get in my own way. I only spend minutes and moments outside of that truth. So I have to be able to identify where I'm interfering with my productivity, accessibility, and gratitude through ego-based needs, like the need to be frustrated, angry, upset, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, guilty, all these worrying and complaining, all these things that get in the way of my activity. So my activities are aligned with what I want in a trajectory, as we stated before, not attaching our emotions to some outcome, but a trajectory of unrealistic objectives. See, today I have to be very realistic. So I use my calendar to make sure that I'm efficient, effective, and statistically successful with the activity I planned, activity I don't have planned, and of course my sleep, activity I get paid for, activity I don't get paid for. And so if I look at things as activity, then I can be productive, accessible, and gracious with my time. If I start putting judgments and conditions on that activity, I create interference to it. And I start worrying about it or complaining about it. Start saying, I got to do this instead of I get to do this. See, I make all of my decisions of time today that are realistic based off of, as I go farther and farther out into the relativity of the future, unrealistic. So 6 years from now, my objectives, most people would laugh at. My end objectives of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy or living to over 111 years old, most people will think is impossible. That's what I want. I want the hairs to stand on my arms when I think about my long-term objectives. But if you looked at my calendar today, if you looked at what I wanted today, personally, experientially, giving wise and receiving wise today, in pursuit of those objectives, and if I told you that the minute I know what I want, my nothingness of procrastination and overwhelmness becomes a possibility. And the minute I figure out who I can help with what I want and who can I help me, I become a probability. Now the calendar takes the probability of my day and makes it my reality by being disciplined, strategic, and aware of the 24 hours that I'm given, with the activity that I'm given, with the lenses of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude to be efficient, effective, and statistically successful, constantly prioritizing by what's important to me, because I know what's important to me, what, who, and how. Then I can apply my why. I'm not in search of, through procrastination and overwhelmness, what is my why? Why can't I find my why? I'm applying my why because I'm connected to an unbelievable why that loves me more than my mom.
Such a powerful statement. I mean, as you're saying all of these things, I'm thinking about the fact that you were gracious enough to come on the show, even though you had a tight schedule today. And then I think about the last guest I had on the show, Chris Doe from the future, also looking to impact 1 billion people. He's in the agency world. I'm going to connect you with Chris, because if you guys are layering your willingness to impact 1 billion people, all of a sudden it's very reachable. Like, I'm trying to help Chris. Like, I'm trying to give him 100,000, at least that, like, just get him towards his number. But then you realize by synergy, God turns around and says, well, hey, Dave, you know what? If I'm going to give you 20 minutes today and you're going to be gracious enough to go on Justin's show, maybe we'll get you a couple 100,000 or maybe 500,000 towards your billion. Who was Dave as a child? Because I think as kids, we would have been best friends. I was a maniac when I was a kid, but what were you like when you were a little one growing up?
Well, my dad left when I was 5. So I was a kid that wanted to prove that I could do anything. And I was a kid who didn't listen to his extraordinary mom, but watched her. So I had extreme discipline towards what I wanted, which was to play football in the NFL. But I just wanted to be rich. I wanted to buy my mom a house and a car. I was a mama's boy, but I was money driven. Money was my God starting at 5 years old, because I was determined to buy my mom a house and a car. And I've always been determined, until I lost everything, to make as much money as I can to buy the happiness and the love that was confirmed from 9 months out of law school to millionaire. Sold our first business in 1995 for $3.4 billion. Went to the Silicon Valley, raised hundreds of millions of dollars. By the time I was 30, I was married to my dream girl from the 4th grade, multi-millionaire. I had everything I ever dreamed of. By 36, running Samsung's phone division at 30. By 36, I was running the most notable sports agency in the world, sport with Leigh Steinberg. And I had access to things that even billionaires couldn't afford. And I had over $100 million myself. Then I started the world's most notable global sports one marketing with Warren Moon, the Hall of Fame quarterback. But through that journey, money was not my God anymore, right? Money is a thing that allowed me to shop by the guidance of God for the right reasons, to help people. And my 50th birthday culminated with me building 2 community centers in Africa, doing 50 birthday parties to raise money to change the world. And like you said, all I need is 1,000 people like you to empower 1,000 to empower 1,000. And 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. That will change the world. When I talk about your long-term objectives to scare even you, well, trust me, going into my wife and telling her, hey, my mission in life is to change the world by empowering over 1 billion people to be happy, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Even she, I think, had a little bit of a smirk on her face and a lot of worry. Oh my God, he's lost it.
If you would have told me 5 years ago that we'd be talking today, I would have told you I've lost it as well too. And I think everything you're talking about is how I've noticed the world shifting to the light side of things, right? I see, passion and purpose and people being more important than profits. I just left a local coffee shop and we were talking about how the Amazonification of the world, driving revenues because investment bankers and venture capitalists are sitting back there looking for an out and they don't care about the people, has really compressed us into a negative environment. But you get more people like you out there driving people with purpose and passion away from the profitability. I think what that attracts is vastly different. Nicola Ceravolo, I actually grew up with him. He can confirm that I was a maniac when I grew up. What's up, Nicola? He's a good commercial real estate agent in Montreal. So you should connect with Dave Meltzer as well. So going back to that journey, though, that tipping point for you, we got about 4 minutes left. So I want to be respectful of your time. That transition from going to the Super Bowl parties, having access to things billionaires didn't have access to, a lot of that would have came from relationships, right? Relationships are the most important capital on the planet. How did you shift into this new mindset, and how do you view relationships today versus how you viewed them back then?
I reconcile time into gratitude is how I reconcile my relationships. So I'm building a community of sponsors and power sponsors. One of the reasons I lost everything and that I was lost is I never asked for help. So I only was concerned with who I could help, not who could help me. So by reconciling time with gratitude, so I know that I can find the light, the love, and the lessons in everyone, I was spending my time, like most people, with all the people that were bleeding me. And although they had light, love, and lessons in them, I was spending my time with closed mind, people who bleed me. And once I shifted the paradigm to say, I'm going to reconcile my time each day into gratitude, knowing there's light, love, and lessons in everyone, everything, but what's worth the most of my time? I'm going to feed those people that feed me, not feed people that bleed me. I'm going to feed those people that feed me and then allow those people that bleed me to fall away, or if necessary, fire them from my life. I cannot tell you how important relationships are to me and the ability to ask for help and understanding that my frequency is my neighborhood. What do I mean by that? I used to sit in the projects on a lawn chair drinking a 45, and there was nobody around me that gave me opportunities, options, and touches of favor. But when I elevated my frequency, just like elevating your neighborhood, now that I'm sitting in the dream home park, everyone who sits in the bench next to me now in the dream home park extends opportunities and options that I never dreamed of before, as well as touches of favor that have significant impact. They feed me, and I'm capable, because I'm fed, to feed them as well. And so I tell everyone, hey, your frequency, your essence is your neighborhood. And if you elevate to your higher self, if you enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential by knowing what you want every day, aiming to the biggest dreams that terrify not only everyone else, but you, if you know who you can help and you ask for help and know who can help you and how to get it done with productivity, accessibility, and gratitude in mind, and prioritize correctly and apply your why every day by identifying what you're doing to interfere with it, I'm telling you, the elevation, the plateau, and the growth that you will achieve and receive will extend an awareness that is far beyond any options, opportunities, or touches of favor you could ever dream of. And in this bliss and in this fulfillment, this passion, this purpose will also, believe it or not, come profitability. The appreciation and acknowledgement and the asking is a formula to abundance. You will live not in the world of not enough, being a victim, everything happening to you in the projects, not a world of just enough, buying stuff you don't need to impress people you don't like, but a world of faith that you're connected to and through the omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing God that loves you more than your mom, that you live in a world of more than enough of everything for everyone. This is not a zero-sum game you're playing. It's a value-add game. Every time you ask, you add value. Every time you receive, you add value. I promise you, if you do that and you know your what, your who, your how, your now, and apply your why, you will make more money, help more people, and have more fun. In other words, you will be happy.
Well, I want your levity. I want your weightlessness, and I need a Jakey Bakey in my life. So I want to thank you, David, for making time for the episode. My platform's yours. Where can I point people to? Where can they connect with you? Is there something you're working on that you want to just shout out on this channel?
Well, as you know, I do free trainings every Friday that you attend. So I want to invite everyone to my free training. I have office hours Apple TV launch June 8th in California that I want to invite everyone to. I also want to send my book and the 5 daily practices to everyone. The best way to reach me is to email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com. If you forget the email, david@dmeltzer.com, just Google me, David Meltzer. I'm everywhere. You'll find me, and then you can email me.
I appreciate you so much. And if anybody has a hard time finding him, hit me up. I will connect you, and eScarf will put the links in the bio. Go crush your day, brother. This will not be the last episode for sure. I'll catch you next time.
You got it. Thank you so much. Be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. Take care,
I
everyone.
appreciate you, brother. Take care.